The UK has the longest detention period in the world where an individual can be held without charge, 28 days. 16 days longer than Australia, second on the list. The UK, with more CCTV cameras per head of population than anywhere else, is the most watched country in the world. The UK government has presided over more deaths of disabled citizens than the Nazis. The UK military capacity has been reduced to its lowest level since the Napoleonic Wars. The UK stands as the third most warmongering country in the world. The UK government has been investigated by the UN for breaches of human rights. The UK has been investigated by the UN for illegal arms sales to Saudi Arabia. The UK government has sold weapons to 24 of the 27 states included on its own list of countries of humanitarian concern. The UK, Scotland, is home to the largest concentration of nuclear weapons in Europe. CND is horrified at the Royal Navy's plan to host a national service of Thanksgiving to mark 50 years of the so-called continuous at-sea deterrent nuclear weapons operation in Westminster Abbey. It is morally repugnant and sends out a terrible message to the world about our country. It says that here in Britain we celebrate weapons that can kill millions of people, in a place of worship. May 2019. The continued proliferation of nuclear weaponry represents one of the greatest threats to humanity's long-term survival. Yet tomorrow Westminster Abbey is hosting a service to celebrate 50 years of Britain's continuous at-sea deterrent, that is, having a nuclear-armed submarine on constant sea patrol, ready to attack or threaten anyone, anywhere, anytime. As part of a series of events led by the Royal Navy. The invitation-only congregation, including Prince William, will be asked to rejoice at this dubious achievement, and, somewhat incongruously, to pray for peace. June 2019. The decision by the UK elite to celebrate 50 years of its submarine's nuclear weapon systems in a religious service is a perfect illustration of the deliberate and malicious placing of these hideous weapons of mass destruction in the category of normal. It is precisely this lie that the new UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons exposes, with its aim of total elimination, placing nuclear missiles, nukes, along with chemical weapons and landmines in the category of the unspeakable and the nations that deploy them as rogue state. The UK, Scotland, is home to the largest concentration of nuclear weapons in Europe. Scotland, as part of the UK, has the largest structural deficit in Europe. Scotland, as part of the UK, has the greatest concentration of land ownership in the world. Scotland, as part of the UK, has the largest PFI bill per capita in the world. The UK is the sixth most unequal country in the world. The UK is the most expensive place in the world to run a car. The UK has the highest fuel taxes in Europe. The UK is home to the highest aviation tax in the world. The UK has the most expensive energy costs in Europe. The UK has been named the most corrupt country in the world. The UK has the highest level of obesity in Western Europe. The UK has the second highest childcare costs in the world. The UK has the second largest debt per capita in the world. The UK has earned the title of worst place to live in Europe following a study which assessed quality of life. The UK came second last the previous year. House prices in Britain are around 30% too high according to a study published by the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. The UK has the most expensive rents in Europe, £350 per month more than the European average. The UK property tax is the most complex in the world. UK house building is at its lowest since 1923. UK homes have the smallest living space in Europe. The UK has one of the most complicated tax systems in the world with 10,000 pages of legislation as of 2010. An additional 500 pages of new tax law are created each year. The Institute of Economic Affairs concluded that the annual operating costs of the British tax system was £11 billion in 2012. The UK has the second highest involvement in the tax haven of Panama. In the UK, more than half of new businesses collapse because of the UK tax system. A lack of bank lending and the cost of running a business were all cited as reasons for failure. The UK has the second largest unelected chamber in the world. The UK has the second lowest number of female judges in Europe, right there behind Azerbaijan. The UK has the highest female mortality rate in Western Europe. The UK has the second longest working hours in Europe. Her Majesty's subjects have 5.5 fewer work holidays than the European average. The UK provides the second lowest state pension in the EU. The UK has the fourth highest level of inequality in the developed world. A short extract from the Michael Cockrell documentary Westminster Secret Service broadcast by the BBC in 1995. Tim Fortescue was a whip under Edward Heath between 1970 and 1973. In the documentary it was revealed that the chief whip kept a little black dirt book which contained information about MPs, and this was used as a method of political control.
Anyone with any sense who was in trouble would come to the whips and tell them the truth. They'll say, no, I'm in a jam, can you help? It might be debt, it might be scandal involving small boys, or any kind of scandal which a member seemed likely to be mixed up in. They'd come and ask if we could help, and if we could, we did. And we would do everything we can, because we would store up brownie points. That sounds a pretty nasty reason, but it's one of the reasons. Is if we can get a chap out of trouble, then he'll do as we ask forevermore.